Hallo und herzlich willkommen bei Goldgeldwelt. Ich mache heute ein anderes Video, ein Interview, und zwar eines der besonderen Sorte von der Diggers & Dealers Konferenz hier in Westaustralien, in Kalgoorlie. Und ich habe hier die Möglichkeit, mit einer sehr, sehr großen Company zu sprechen, nämlich ein Goldproduzent, der ungefähr $1 Milliarde im Moment wert ist. Das ist Resolute Mining, und ich sitze hier mit Managing Director und CEO John Welborn zusammen, und John wird uns jetzt hier einiges erklären und einen kurzen Überblick geben, was Resolute Mining eigentlich macht. John, very nice to see you here and giving me the opportunity. Would you be so kind to give a broad introduction about what Resolute Mining is doing, where are you located, and so the basic stuff?
Guten Morgen, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about Resolute. Resolute is an Australian gold mining company. We've had consistent production for 28 years. Over that period of time, we've explored, discovered, built, owned, acquired, operated and closed 9 gold mines. And it's fantastic to be here at the Diggers & Dealers Conference in Kalgoorlie, because Resolute started here all those years ago and explored and discovered some of the iconic gold mines of this region that are still in operation. Currently, Resolute operates the Ravenswood gold mine in North Queensland in Australia, and we operate the Syama gold mine in the south of Mali in West Africa. And that mine at Syama is our largest operation, where we're going through a major expansion as we build an underground mine, which will be the first fully autonomous underground mine of its kind in the world, and that's very exciting. We also own the Bibiani gold mine in Ghana, and that operation is on care and maintenance, and we're looking to recommission that over the next 18 months to 2 years. So our guidance is to produce 300,000 ounces of gold in the current financial year. We'll do that at an all-in sustaining cost of around $1,000 US, slightly less. But we're really on an ambition over the next 3 to 4 years to produce 500,000 ounces of gold. And the long term, we would like to have a portfolio of gold mines. We're very focused on Africa. So we're an Australian gold mining company with a long history. We're very excited about the implementation of technology, and we're looking to operate a portfolio of gold mines that can produce for more than 10 years of mine life at a portfolio all-in sustaining cost of around $750 US. So very ambitious, strong growth profile, improving our use of technology and lowering our costs is our quick story.
Okay, thank you very much. I heard you would like to increase exposure in Africa, is that right? How do you see Africa, or the different countries you operate in actually? How do you see them as a jurisdiction to operate a gold mine?
We are very focused on expanding into Africa, and we're an Australian listed company, so we're listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, and we still have an Australian producing gold mine, but we definitely see the growth of Resolute in Africa, and we've been operating in Africa for more than 20 years. So we built the Obertan gold mine in Ghana in the mid-1990s. We built the first modern gold mine in Tanzania, Golden Pride, where we mined 2.2 million ounces of gold. We're no longer in Tanzania, and so we do choose the jurisdictions we operate in quite carefully, because we do want to operate long life mines, and we want to make sure that we've got a very strong partnership with local government, and we can ultimately have recourse to the rule of law. So in Mali, we're in a jurisdiction along with some of the world's best gold miners, Rand Gold, Anglo Gold Ashanti, B2 Gold, so a range of companies. And that's the Syama gold mine, and we've been in Ghana for a long time. We're exploring in Côte d'Ivoire. We've got some partnerships in Sudan. So we definitely see the geological potential of Africa will be increasingly recognised, and so we're looking, and we believe we will be part of the creation of Tier 1 global gold mines. We think it represents a remarkably positive value opportunity for investors.
It's still on. I had to check. Yes. You talked about the automation of one of your mines. Could you a little bit elaborate on this? Why is automation a driving factor going forward in the gold industry?
I'm convinced that in the mining industry generally, underground mining is going automated and it's going electric. And even out of mining, you look at what's happening in the automobile industry and the changes that people are starting to forecast. So we've partnered with Sandvik, who we believe are the best manufacturer of automated underground equipment in the world. And the equipment we're currently employing is actually tried and tested technology. The difference with Syama is that we're not retrofitting automation into an existing operation. We're purpose building this mine, and it's allowing us to implement a range of automated equipment together in a way that hasn't been done before. But to correctly answer your question, the underlying driver of automation in Resolute is really around safety, efficiency and productivity. And automation is often seen through the premise of a traditional automotive factory or a clothing manufacturer with a whole lot of manual staff on a production line or sitting behind sewing machines and blowing a whistle and making those workers redundant by a robot. That's not how we see automation at all. The drivers in terms of cost and efficiency are around productivity. And in fact, in an African context, we believe that the use of high technology equipment allows us to train our local workforce, have more efficient local labour than we have previously. So it's not about the traditional sense of reducing manual workers. In fact, it's about upskilling manual workers and having a mine that has greater availability, better safety outcomes, more productivity and lower cost. I think that's very exciting.
Could you a little bit elaborate about social responsibility of the company? What are you doing for the community, especially in Africa and maybe even in Australia here?
We've got a very consistent focus, I'll actually talk about Australia first. We operate the Ravenswood Gold Mine. It's a very remote town in North Queensland, 2 hours drive inland from Townsville. And it's been a gold mining town for more than 100 years. It was originally established in the 1870s. And we operate a mine there that employs 220 people. They're drive in, drive out. They all live locally. It's a very stable workforce. And we're absolutely essential to the ongoing local community of Ravenswood. We provide the drinking water to the town. We're the main economic engine for that town, and we maintain that local workforce. We're also, as part of our expansion activities there, investing in local heritage and local environmental outcomes. And our ability to actually extend the life of that mine has actually been very closely linked with the approvals that we've required to open up new gold mines to new areas, environmental approvals, heritage approvals, and compliance approvals. And I'm convinced that our success in doing that is actually because we bring our partnership model that works in Africa into Australia. In Australia, miners traditionally own their operations and they pay a royalty to a state government and an income tax to the federal government. Whereas in Africa, our operations there, we're usually actually in an equity partnership with the government. So our main operation in Mali, we own 80% of it, and the government of Mali own 20% of it. And we pay them a royalty and we pay taxes to them. But it's that actual equity partnership which changes the relationship. We believe it's a competitive advantage we have not only in Africa but also in Australia. Obviously rewarding our stakeholders in Queensland, including the state government in terms of royalties, the local community of Ravenswood in terms of positive outcomes, both economically and social, is important. And I'm personally inspired by the work that Resolute does in our African communities and more generally the Australian mining community. I'm a director of the Australia-Africa Energy Mining Group. And so I know firsthand the work that Australian companies and international companies are doing. I'm absolutely convinced that Africa will see an explosion of economic progress, perhaps rivaling what we've seen in the Asian economies over the last 20 or 30 years in my lifetime. And that starts with capital investment, cross-border investment, the confidence of that. And importantly, it also leads to positive outcomes in education and health. The electrification of Africa is such an important project. So the work we're doing as part of Syama in building a mini grid and the direct link that has in terms of education and health outcomes is often lost, because we're focusing on metrics around gold production. I mentioned earlier that automation to me is about upskilling our local workforce. So, the easy answer to your question about our community focus is to talk about the well we've put in a local village, or a photograph of me as the CEO handing out school books. Those things are important, but I think the long-term benefit we provide communities in terms of things like electrification, malaria prevention, midwifery, but particularly training and making a genuine commitment to changing the economic outcomes of an entire population is where mining companies can make a huge difference. And that's what we're focused to do at Resolute.
Thank you. That's how business really impacts the communities. So. Your share price has really outperformed some of the other major gold producers. What did you do right?
Oh, well, thank you for that. I would actually feel that we're still trading at a significant discount to some of our peers. If you look at where we operate, the highest value gold miner in the world is Randgold, who operates mines in Mali and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And Randgold trade at a market capitalization that represents about 50% of the value of their contained reserves. Currently, Resolute is trading at about 10% of the value of our contained reserves. So I do think we've started a process of revaluation. So I think you're referring to the fact that our share price is about 30% higher than it was 6 months ago. And I think that's recognising the progress we're making on the Syama gold mine, and I expect that revaluation will continue. I think, currently we have a market capitalisation of around 700 million Australian dollars. It's a very low multiple of any metric compared to our peers. We're a strongly profitable gold mining company. We pay a dividend which is linked to our gold revenue, and somewhat uniquely we'll pay that dividend to shareholders in cash, or if they want, in gold, through a partnership we have with the Perth Mint. So you can hold that in a gold account with a government-backed organisation, or ultimately you can receive that physically. So we are a gold miner that tries to link our ability to explore and define and produce gold all the way through to our shareholders, and that's consistent with our stakeholder management I described earlier in terms of the Queensland government or local populations in Africa. We want our shareholders to be directly linked to our operations, the gold inventory that we have in the ground, our ability to mine that effectively and ultimately give that to shareholders. So I certainly am convinced. I'm a share buyer of Resolute myself. I continue to invest in the stock, and I believe that we have a long, long way to go as we revalue the company around efficiency of production and growth in production.
Thank you, John. Anything else you would like to investors in Germany and German-speaking countries to know about Resolute Mining? What is special about you compared to your peers?
Look, I'm very interested in the German market, and this is not the first time I've been interviewed by German-based media organisations at conferences like Digger and Dealers. So here we are in Kalgoorlie, in remote Western Australia, talking directly to investors in Germany, and we'd like to do that more often. So the answer to your question about a message for the German market is Resolute is going to come and talk to you more. We're actually exploring potentially dual listing from the ASX, the Australian Stock Exchange, into a European exchange, perhaps the London Stock Exchange, but that might give us better and more obvious access to markets in Germany and in Europe. And we'd like to market Resolute. We believe it's a very strong value story. And I know that there are investors in Germany interested in gold who understand gold as an investment. The irony about being here in Kalgoorlie is that the Australian investment landscape is largely ignoring gold. We have an investment industry which is, as we speak in Australia, people all over this country are sitting down and talking to their investment advisors about property, about cash, about shares and equities and foreign shares and equities. But gold, both physical gold, ETF gold and gold mining companies are not strongly supported in the Australian landscape. And I'm a director of the World Gold Council, and I can see that isn't replicated in markets like India and China, where we're seeing an explosion in high net wealth individuals and institutional investment in gold, in all of its derivatives. I believe that there's a strong appetite and understanding of the value of gold in an investment portfolio in markets like Germany, and And we believe that Resolute has a unique place as a long-term profitable gold miner that pays a gold dividend to its shareholders. We believe we've got an unmatched organic growth profile, and we're looking to establish a relationship with German investors. So we'd like to do that more often, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Thank you very much, John, and have a good day here. Das war